Broadcasting live from the EBSN online studios in Columbus, Ohio. It's Silver and Blue Nation, the voice of diehard Dallas Cowboy fans.
Make sure you check out that. But just got a lot of good things going on as far as offensive linemen, running backs. I saw some good people. So it was a good experience for the Combine, and we're just going to see what's happening and what's going on. So
yes, Producer G over here made a mistake. We didn't have any audio there for the first minute on our feed, so I just want to apologize for anybody that's tuned in. But like we were saying, though, during that silent period, if you missed it.
I said too much, man.
You can listen back on iTunes, Google Play, or SoundCloud. So if you missed that part of it, you can go back and check it out. It'll be posted tonight. So that's on me, Producer G, mistake. I'm over here trying to do too much.
You're doing over there too much, man. I'm over there saying all kind of stuff, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, hey, man, you talking, we can't hear you. Oh, man. It's all good. Producer G is still the producer. It does happen. It does happen.
You was getting into the Combine. I also want to let people know we got a special guest today.
Yes.
Ari Timken from ESPN San Antonio will be joining us around 7:30, the bottom of the hour.
Ask him a couple questions about the Dallas Cowboys, Dez Bryant.
Talk about Dez, maybe a little draft.
Yeah.
And speaking of the draft, you were getting into the Combine.
Yes, I was getting into the Combine, and it was a great experience. You got the tickets. You hooked it up, cooked it up like you did all the time, and we had a good time. We got to see the offensive linemen, running backs, boring as hell. But that's okay. The running backs were still good, and you still get to see some offensive linemen that we could talk about a little bit later in the show. The next day, which was, Saturday, we got to see the running backs, receivers, and quarterbacks. I didn't care about the quarterbacks, tight ends. Got to see the tight ends lift, didn't get to see them run. Got to see the receivers do everything, which was really important because you got to see a guy in particular who you really kind of fell in love with at the Combine.
Yeah, it was Quan St. Brown from Notre Dame.
Quan St.
He was
Brown.
Just really big, tall. He was
big
like,
guy.
I think he might have been the
6'3".
tallest guy.
No, he wasn't the tallest. He was 6'3".
Wasn't the tallest. Well, he was right there, one of the tallest for sure. But he led everybody in reps on the bench press with 24 for wide receivers. Mm-hmm. He was out there catching everything. His presence was big. I watched a lot of his highlights.
He was very aggressive, too,
I think that guy could be a first or second round pick.
He's not going in the first round.
I don't know what he's projected by the experts, but I like what I saw from him. And I think that's a big kind of guy that we need to go after.
Right. Well, we're going to see. He impressed me as well. Like I said, when we got to see the we got to see the the wide receivers work out. He was one of the guys that, like you said, had a great size, big kid.
Great 40 time.
Great 40 time. I think he ran, a 4.4? He ran a 4.4 in the 40. Great size. A little bit inconsistent at Notre Dame, but they didn't have the greatest quarterback play at Notre Dame.
He's a hand catcher, too.
And he catches the ball, and he's very outgoing. Like he was yelling the whole time he was doing his drills out there. Had the wild yellow hair. Usually those guys be wearing that crazy hair like that. Usually they're kind of good. So watch out for him in the draft, and he could be a sleeper, could be a sneaker pick that you never know the Cowboys could pick up. I already told you who I like, but that's something else because I don't want to give him away on Coach J's film day. Now, me.
Yeah, so make sure you check that out tonight because that'll be dropping tonight.
Yeah,
Coach J's film day. It'll be the 4th edition. He tells you who thinks the Cowboys should look at in the 4th round.
And make sure you remember it's players that I like, not players that you like, players that I like. Okay?
So we had some topics set out here. Well, first let's go ahead and thank everybody who's tuning in on Facebook Live or YouTube. I know I already seen Game Changer over here in our YouTube comments. Let's see, Starboy 50. Yes, everybody who couldn't hear there the first couple minutes, I apologize. That was a mistake on Producer G's part. I just have to learn from that. So hopefully that don't happen again. Xavier Giles, appreciate you tuning in. Larfell, Modley, Starboy 50 again. Thanks on YouTube for tuning in, checking in, and Facebook Live. Annette, Mama T, Juan, everybody the usual, T. Allen, Devin Harris, and a lot of names you already mentioned, but we had some topics to get into, and Jerry Jones has been in the news all week this week, going back to last Monday when the news came down that he would be maybe sued or fined by Roger Goodell for his public criticism of the league. So what do you think about that?
Well, it wasn't really more about the public criticism. It was more about he has to pay Zeke's bill. His attorney that bill that footed all the stuff that was going on. That was more like the biggest thing that was going on with it. Now they're talking about there's going to be a hearing, I believe, Monday or Tuesday about it. He's anxious for the hearing. What do I think about it? I just think them boys are just beefing. They got beef with each other, and they're just slinging dukes. And you know what? I really wish Paul Tagliabue would come back. Because remember when we had, well, I don't know if you remember, but Paul Tagliabue, you never heard about Paul Tagliabue. He made it, he said what he said, and he was out there. He put down what he put down, and it was it. You always hearing about Roger Goodell in the news, the media. It's always Roger Goodell something. And that's what gets on my nerves about him. Just sit down. Like, it's always him in the news. He's doing this, he's doing that. I just feel like Paul Tagliabue, they should have picked a better person than Goodell because I feel like this power thing is just gone to his head. And you know what? We talked about it before. You can have all them other owners in the meetings with Jerry Jones, and a lot of them probably don't like Jerry Jones, and maybe they don't want to see him win, so they probably all just trying to stick it to him anyway, and that's just probably just what it is.
Yeah. And, well, okay, I did see, you said that it wasn't about public criticism, but I actually I got that from a link that you shared on your page.
Yeah, it started out.
Fined for public criticism.
It started out as that, but then when they dabbled more into it, because it was an early story, when they dabbled more into it, was more about him getting his fees taken care of as far as Ezekiel Elliott. That was one of the biggest things that he was going to have to kind of fork over because they were so heavily involved into the case. So, you know, I just feel like this is just a battle that him and Roger Goodell, they always going to go at it. And I wonder if – you remember when they was talking about earlier that they were going to try to oust Jerry Jones as like the owner of the Cowboys? I know that I don't see that ever happening, but it's just kind of crazy how all this stuff is still going on, this drama. It's an ongoing beef with him and Goodell, and I just wonder when it's ever going to stop.
Yeah, and also last Monday it was the 29-year anniversary of Jerry Jones buying the team.
Right.
So that's been a long time. So that's just crazy to think that he bought the team 29 years ago, and we haven't had a Super Bowl in, 22?
So that brings up that's a perfect segue to which I was going to ask. What I was going to present was that I presented a question on my Big Game James page in the 29 years of Jerry Jones owning the team. What would you rate him as a owner? Would it be terrible? Poor? Would it be bad, good, or great? What would you rate Jerry Jones as an owner right now, in those 29 years?
I would say good, not great, and not bad, but I would say good because he definitely has the marketing part of it down. Obviously, he went to the Hall of Fame being a contributor, and he does have 3 Super Bowl rings. Whether he gets the credit or not, he is the one that ended up making the move, getting rid of Landry and pulling in Jimmy Johnson, and then he also did get another coach afterwards, after Jimmy Johnson left, and won another one. Mm-hmm. So, he does have those things on his resume, so you can't say that's bad by any means. But great, I would say no because it's been so long now. I wouldn't give him great. I'd say he's good.
I would go with you with good as well, and for those very same reasons. Great marketing with the Cowboys. He brought the Cowboys for what, like, I don't know the damn number, so I ain't gonna sit there in front and say I do. Like, maybe I'm gonna give a good number, maybe 3.2 million. I'm gonna just throw the number out, and now I know he's in the billions. So he definitely flipped that money and made the Cowboys relevant again. He's made the Cowboys marketable again. He's made them relevant again, and like you said, he has 3 Super Bowls, and you can't take that away from him as an owner. And even though we Cowboys fans are probably frustrated, I know I am, it's been a while. I mean, 29 years, 22 years has been since we've seen anything, but you cannot take away from him. So when you look at, he does have 3 Super Bowls and what he's marketed with the Cowboys, I would give him a good rating too. But now it's time to figure it out. But as I said before, I don't think we're going to win another Super Bowl under Jerry Jones's helm. I think if we win another Super Bowl, it will be under Stephen Jones. I don't think we're going to win another Super Bowl under Jerry Jones when he is the full owner, and that's just my opinion about it. I feel like you got your Super Bowls, you don't go that big of a period and a gap, and all of a sudden you win them again. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I know I'm a Cowboys fan. You guys can get mad at me all the hell if you want to. I don't care. I'm a realist. I just feel like Stephen Jones has to really take over the mantle now. We just were talking about in the news. You can bring it up, some of the things that we were talking about. Some of the things he said in the news about Dez Bryant, Dak Prescott. He just be saying anything in the news now.
He just says whatever. And another thing that makes him not great as an owner is that he doesn't know how to delegate the duties. You know, he wants to be GM and owner and, you know, whatever else.
He wants to be everything. He wants to power hungry, dude.
So
like, we get it.
That makes him not great, too, because he can't get past that part of it. He doesn't know how to, like, I guess hire the right team. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but
well, you know what it is, G. It's Jerry Jones wants to end this saying, "I did this my way." He wants to be like Frank Sinatra. I did this my way. He wants to be like that. He wants to say, "When I retired and I did this, we got the last championship, and it was by Jerry Jones. It was Jerry Jones that did it," and that's why he keeps chasing that Super Bowl ghost, because he wants to end it saying he did it on his terms and he won it his way. But you know what, Jerry Jones? That's why you're not going to win it, because as long as you keep that mindset of I'm doing this my way and we're going to win this my way, it's not going to work like that. You got to be able to delegate your other guys and be able to make those other guys work, because when you get the other guys below you and you give them that power, you can just sit out there and just collect that money and get them Super Bowls.
Everybody who's commenting with us right now, and I know a lot of people want to talk draft, we are going to get to that, and we're going to get to your comments, so make sure you stick around and keep commenting and stay in it with us, because we are going to get to everybody's comments, take all the questions and talk all the draft and tell you all about our experience at the Combine. We're going to have Ari Timken from ESPN San Antonio joining us here at the bottom of the hour, so stick around for that. We'll talk a little draft with him, and then we'll talk a little Dez Bryant, and I wanted to continue on what you were saying about Jerry, what he was saying in the news, and one of those things was he's saying now he wants Dez Bryant to stick around.
Right, and we were just talking off the air that might be the kiss of death, because when Jerry Jones lately is saying that you're going to be with the team, he said it with Tony Romo. He said what Wade Phillips. He said it. He's going to be with the team.
That vote of confidence.
That vote when he gives you the TO, but right before he got rid of him, when Jerry Jones gives you that vote of confidence, it's almost like you might just be ready to get cut. So now I don't hold that to a grain of, okay, yeah, Jerry Jones came out and said Dez Bryant's going to be on the team. I'm not going to sit there and hold that to him, because, number one, Jerry Jones, I'm not saying he's delusional, but he just be saying anything, whatever, and whenever now.
Well, like I said in the car when we were talking about, I think he just likes to play the media. He likes playing with them. He likes throwing smoke screens and misdirection.
And I think he still wants to
creating a buzz.
And he wants to keep his name relevant, even though Jerry Jones, he wants to keep himself out there. I think Jerry Jones wants to keep, hey, Jerry Jones said something, so let's all pay attention to what Jerry Jones just said.
All right, so then that's a lot. Wait, there was one other thing Jerry had talked about. What was it, Byron Jones? And then there was something else you just said.
It was Dak Prescott, but the Byron Jones thing, saying that, it'd be a great thing that they can move him down the corner because he has those abilities, and it will be helping the team, and that he's just in love with our safety position. And, like I said, Jerry just be saying whatever, dude. Like, Jerry says whatever. Like, you can't sit there and say our secondary as far as the safety position is in great order. It's not. It's not. You need a Earl Thomas. Are you going to make that deal? Yeah. Are you going to make a trade? If you're saying that get a little worried because we still need to make deals and we need to make trades to still get us better right now. We're not at the apex where we're super dominant, especially on defense. We had a good season on defense, looked really good, but we're not dominant by any means.
And we'll dive more into the subject of corner, safety, Dez, all those things. This is just news about what's been going on with Jerry Jones this week. And, again, in the comment section on Facebook Live and YouTube, appreciate everybody. Andre Latson, Willie Stovall,
Willie
Ramos, Wilson Lilia.
That's a new person.
Everybody who's tuning in, we appreciate all of you. And over on our YouTube page as well, Game Changer, Law Nation is in there.
Game Changer. What's up, Big Law Nation?
Ron Smith over on YouTube. You know how he does it. He's back and forth. He's all over the place.
Utah in the house.
So we are going to be getting the comments and draft talk. Just stick around with us. Like I said earlier, we got Ari Timken coming on here shortly. So we had Randy Gregory was in the news a little bit. He put out some kind of social media post, right?
Right.
You want to talk about that?
Basically, what he's talking about is, patience is the key. Maybe the run is not for the swift. I don't want to hear anything from Randy Gregory. Just shut up and get on the field. And I'm not disrespecting you. I want that talent on the field, but you got drafted at 22 and you're 25 right now. I really don't want to hear any patience thing from Randy Gregory. Only thing I want you to do is stop smoking the weed and just get on the field. I understand you love the chronic or whatever you might have things that's going on. I get it. But guess what? Stop. Don't jump out on social media saying patience is the key. Jump out there and say, I'm ready for the field because you're eligible for reinstatement now. What's going on? Let's make this happen, Randy Gregory. Don't make the social media post. Just get out there and do it.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that he's talking about patience, and it's already been 3 years.
We've had plenty of patience with you.
How much more patience do you need? That just cracks me up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a funny thing. Like, how are you going? Yeah, patience for what, dog? We had plenty of patience with you. You should have already been on the field wrecking and shot. We gave you 94. I'm sorry. Now I keep on saying we. Dallas Cowboys gave you 94. That was enough. When they gave you 94, that was a way. You're supposed to hold that number in hierarchy.
Yeah, like a lot of pressure comes with that number.
You don't just get that number 94.
It's like 88.
Yeah, you have to respect that number. And if you don't go out there and you have 94 and we ain't seen you in 3 damn years, then don't you tell me about no damn patience.
So I also saw an article that you shared, and what we're doing here with our rundown, we kind of just go back from where we left off the show last week and then pick it right up and go right down the topics leading all the way up to today, the current ones. So I saw you shared a link about how weak our free agent class was last season.
Yeah.
So, did we pretty much cut every single person we signed, didn't we?
I mean, it seemed like it.
And
we
the
had
Cowboys,
like
you said, I should say Cowboys.
We had Cedric Thornton. We got rid of him. We had Nolan Carroll. We got rid of him.
Well, we didn't. The Cowboys didn't sign Cedric Thornton last season.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that.
I'm talking about what I think this article is implying of guys that you signed in that particular offseason.
Oh, yeah.
So Nolan Carroll, he obviously was gone.
Right.
And whoever else we picked up, I don't think they made it on the team either.
Because we're doing bargain hunting, and the bargain hunter don't work. And I get it. I mean, just if you think, I see what you're saying about this year, but even think about 2 years ago, even Benson Mayoa. Those are guys that, nobody's scared of Benson Mayoa. You know what I mean? Like, he might get 2 or 3 sacks. Might get a game where he might have a big game. Nobody's game planning for Benson Mayoa. He's not making a difference. So it's like, why are you picking him up? You're wasting the money. You're wasting money when guys are not going to make a difference. If you're going to put some money into a player, put some money into a player that when he comes here, he's going to make a difference. Just like when we were always getting these guys in the mid-season, picking these guys up from Green Bay, linebackers, and next thing you know, they sit the bench the whole time, and then we cut them. I don't get that. Like, get guys that are going to come in and make plays, just like with the draft. If you're going to me and you were talking, these first 4 picks or 5 picks, these guys need to come in and play. They don't need to come in and develop. They need to come in and change the game for our team. So these first 2 picks especially need to be game changers. Guys that are going to come in the field immediately and make an immediate impact for our team. No more of this, let's see, this guy, he could be this. No. We need this now.
You just can't afford to keep waiting. You can't keep missing out on free agent classes. I mean, that free agent period is very important. You can't just get nothing out of it.
Yeah, and you can't sit there and say, "Oh, well, we're happy with the guys that we have, and we're going to draft." The draft is not a guarantee. Like, yes, you may have had a couple drafts, but what do we go back to? The 2015 draft. The 2015 draft was trash. It was absolutely horrible. So we don't even have anybody doing anything in that draft. Byron Jones is probably the only one that you can say is doing anything in that 2015 draft. So you can sit there and say the draft is not a science. So we can't put our eggs all into draft picks and draft players because those guys can be bust. You see guys that are playing and played 4 or 5 years, you know what you have at least in them. It's your fault if you go in there and when we went and got Brandon Carr, we should have kind of known better. You're spending that kind of money on him, and he came from a small school in Michigan, Saginaw Valley State or something, and he wasn't dominant at KC, so we overpaid for him. That was your fault or the Cowboys' fault. It wasn't. Don't get gun shy because you did that. It was a mistake. Don't say, "Oh, well, we're not going to do that again." No, you made a mistake. That's okay. You can still go into free agency and go after players. Now you're gun shy and scared and you just want to sign your own. That ain't going to work, bro.
No, it will not. We'll keep moving. We're just going to keep going through these topics until it's time to get our guy Ari on the phone. And then we will then just let loose on these comments and talk about our combine experience that we had this weekend and everything else.
Law Nation, if you listen in, call in. If you're listening in, call in. You text me, I can't really come off of it, so Law Nation, call in.
If Law Nation's going to call, let's get him on after Ari.
Yeah, call in after Ari after 7:30.
That way I can get him set up with a nice little scene for him here.
Yeah. So
and if you're just joining us,
Law
this
call
is
after 7:30.
Silver and Blue Nation live podcast on EBSN Online, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also you can catch the podcast, just the audio only, if you don't want to see us or if you missed something.
What? You don't want to see our pretty face?
You can check that out on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud, as you can see in the scroll coming across the bottom of your screen. So also go over and subscribe to the YouTube channels for us. We certainly appreciate everybody tuning in. One other thing I wanted to get into was the NFL looking at some rule changes. One of them in particular was the Dez Bryant catch. They are saying now that would be considered a catch with the way the new rule is going to be. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's whatever. I don't even want to hear that garbage. I mean, they're making us feel like they're making us Cowboys fans like they're doing us a favor and saying, "Oh, it's a catch." They're putting it all in the news saying it's a catch. Nobody gives a hell. You messed up our Super Bowl chances. And you're gonna say it's a catch now after 3 years later? You can shut the hell up on that one. I don't give a hoo-ha that you're telling us that's a catch now. We all know. You know, I hear the announcer saying, "I don't know what a catch is." Yes, you do. I know what a catch is. You know what a catch is, G. We all know what the hell a catch is. And we know when we see it on TV and we look at it and saying, "That's a damn catch." Everybody else says that's a catch. And then you got referees saying, "It's not a catch." Man, like, stop being goofy. Hopefully this gets it right. Just leave the game alone. It should be just left the way it was in the 70s and 80s when it was pure and holy and natural. It was pure and holy. Now it's just dirty and grimy. You got just too many daggone rules, and just like you can't even play football because you got to think like a robot out on the field. I can only imagine how the players feel when you got 3,000 rules. You know what I'm saying? You can't even know if you're going to hit somebody the right way.
Trying to find out how to make it more interesting.
Yeah, man. It's dumb. Stop it. But, hey, I know you think about it. I think you were going to bring up that pass interference thing.
Yeah, I was getting to that. But one more point on the Dez catch thing. I see guys like Skip Bayless getting all really hyped up about it,
Why?
Super upset. And it's like, okay, if Dez Bryant caught that pass, there's no guarantee he would have scored a touchdown right there. There's no guarantee Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to go right down the field on us.
They still have 4 minutes
Cowboys
left.
And score,
our defense
which they probably would have.
Mm-hmm.
So even if the catch was made, it's not – I feel like people have it in their head, if Dez Bryant would have caught that ball, the Cowboys are in the championship or the Super Bowl. No. There's no guarantee you still would have won that game. Even if he caught that, he didn't score. He was down before he even got into the end zone.
This is true.
Everyone have that perspective. Let's just stop thinking that game would have been won like we got robbed of a Super Bowl or something. That's kind of what it feels like. Like, I feel like people think that that's the level that was on. Like, we would have just automatically went on to the Super Bowl if he caught that ball. I don't think so.
I think that's probably Cowboys fans' excuse. to make us feel better in our hearts. Like, yeah, well, so if we get in an argument now with somebody, somebody could say, well, yeah, it was a catch. You can't say it now. It was a catch, and that could have. We was going to the Super Bowl that year. Just like you said, you don't know in the hell we was going to the daggone Super Bowl. Just like you said, G, he was down at the 2-yard line. We could have fumbled the next play, and they could have picked it up, and we still could have lost. Aaron Rodgers still had 4 minutes left in that game, and he was dissecting our defense with a messed-up calf. And then even if we beat them, we still would have had to play the Seattle Seahawks. And even though we went into Seattle and beat them, that was no guarantee that we were going to come back in there and beat them again and go to the Super Bowl. That is all hypothetically hoo-ha. I really wanted that to happen. That's all that is. You just wanted to believe it in your heart. So, Cowboys fans, let's just believe it in our heart. We could have went to the Super Bowl, but reality says you didn't know.
You didn't know. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Give us a like and share if you're watching on Facebook Live. Keep commenting with us. We're going to get to everybody's. Appreciate everybody who's tuned in so far and who will and who has. And if you could call in, too, you can after we take a phone call at the bottom of the hour.
After. Do not call before.
1-866-217-1966. That will be the number. I will put it up on the screen once we are ready to take some phone calls. And you wanted to go ahead and get to the pass interference rule that they're talking about changing.
Yes, pass interference rule. I for one, wanted it, and I had a whole bunch of people ripping me saying, yeah, do you know football, blah, blah, blah. That's going to make it easier for the refs, and I can understand that part of it. I can understand that it makes it easier for the refs because now I can just throw the flag, and it's just easy for me to get off that call. I get that, and I understand it. But guess what? When I was watching college football and they were doing that where you could just at the spot foul, and then they changed it where it was 15 yards, it made the game better to me as far as the flow of the game. And I just get tired of seeing quarterbacks who can just chuck up the ball 50, 60 yards, and it ain't pass interference, and you just don't even know what to call, and you just throw the flag because it's an easy thing for you to do, and it's the easy way for you to get out because you can't review it. You can't review that flag. So, you get skate off, and then that changes the whole game. You got a third or fourth down. How many times have we seen on third down a guy just chucks it up, and then you get a pass interference, change the whole game, they score a touchdown. So, I want the 15 yards because you're still getting 15 yards on the play. It's not like you're getting a 5-yard penalty. You're getting 15 yards. So, it is helping you out. So, if you threw the ball down the field and it gave you 15 yards, it could put you in field goal positions. So, don't come in at me telling me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I like the rule. You don't have to like the rule. I like it. It's not about what you like.
I like the 15-yard rule because it makes it more even for everyone. Because, like you said, when there's a pass interference call, it's a judgment call. So it's like
they err on the
did he or didn't he? Like if they do call it, the fans or whoever's watching might think that was a bullshit call. Or if they don't call it, you'll say that's bullshit. That was a pass interference.
Right.
So now that eliminates the chance of a huge play like that. That could be taken away. So I do like the 15-yard penalty, but if I'm on the other end and we need a big play and Dez get a pass interference down the field, then I would wish that it was like it was.
Yeah,
so that we can get those yards if it's for us.
But you can do it both ways. The same way you can sit there and nitpick and say, well, leave it alone. The same way if you say you leave it in the game.
Yeah.
You can. It's either way, but I feel like it gives a good advantage for the defense because the defense doesn't really have an advantage any longer. It's all about the offense. The offense has more advantages as far as in the secondary and receiver play than the cornerback. So I feel like this helps out the cornerbacks at least. So I, for one, I like the rule. I think if they do implement it, I'm going to be cool with it. If you don't like it, that's cool. You ain't got to like it. But I, for one, wish they would implement it.
What's up, Buddy Johnson over here watching on YouTube live? We appreciate that. And then Courtry Watson over here on Facebook Live.
What's up, everybody in here?
Thanks for tuning in with us. We're
what
just
up,
talking
what
Cowboys. And me and Big Game James attended the 2018 NFL Scouting Combine over the weekend.
Yes, sir.
We did the whole fan experience. It was
pretty
cool. Got to see a lot of things up close and personal.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely be diving into that, a little bit more details with that too. So we got to see these young guys up close and personal, some draft prospects, all the top guys, the top running backs. Barkley was a beast.
What up?
Josh Allen, all these different guys. So
Barkley was a beast. Josh Allen, like you were enamored with him.
I did like him. He's got that size.
We actually were there when he whipped that 70-yarder. And, folks, when we tell you, And I'm not getting he could be a bust. You got to have accuracy in the NFL. You have to have accuracy in the NFL. Kyle Bowler, you didn't have accuracy. Jamarcus Russell, you didn't have accuracy. Jake Locker, you didn't have accuracy, and they were hyping all you guys. But at the end of the day, when we saw him flicking that ball, you brought it to my attention. I wasn't really paying attention to him because I was looking at the other guys. But that dude just throws the ball effortlessly. When he threw that 70-yard pass, it was easy.
70 yards.
It was
in the
easy.
air.
It was easy.
That's released to the receiver's hand. 70 yards in the air. Not even stepping into the throw, just a little quick, little flat-footed drop back from the 10-yard line.
It was crazy.
He threw it from his own 10-yard line. The ball dropped on the other side of the field at the 20.
He could.
That's 70 yards.
And you said you think he can throw 90 yards.
I think he could. I don't think that was as far as he could throw that. Like we just said, that looked effortless to him.
He's a big kid, too.
That's unbelievable.
He's a big kid, too.
Before we get Ari on here, Ari Temkin from ESPN San Antonio is going to join us here bottom of the hour. Let's get some thoughts on Orlando's Scandrick situation. Stephen Jones came out and said that he was to be cut or traded.
Oh, well.
So I'm just saying Stephen Jones verified that.
Yeah, I mean, Scandrick is going to – what Scandrick brought to the table all those years, that's cool. I liked how he brought us the attitude. I like Scandrick, how he had the attitude. I don't think he was the most dominant corner. He was a good slot corner. I think some people maybe overhyped him with that slot corner because he, in his 9 years or whatever he's been with us, he only got like 8 interceptions, 7 interceptions. That's not good at all. He's just had an attitude with us, and he's made a lot of money with the Dallas Cowboys. So at the end of the day, he's always hurt. You're 30-something years old. Get something for him, or get cut and get money back. If I think he can save like $3 or $4 million on the cap, or trade him to somebody that would take him and get some collateral for him. This is a year that the Cowboys have a 19th pick. They have 10 picks in the draft. You got players that you can trade or maneuver. I think this is a year that you have to do it. We kind of been staying without trading our draft picks or anything like that. But I think this is the year that we really have to step up and be a little bit more gung-ho about what we're trying to do and make a difference. I feel like if we step out there in free agency and make some waves in this draft with some trades, we can be out there on the up and up. But I feel like if we stand back and feel like we're okay, we're just going to have the same lame season that we had before. And I'm going to be pissed off once again, yelling in this mic, mad as hell.
Scandrick was just too unreliable in my mind for the time that he was
here.
Yeah,
he is,
I mean,
and he's just all talk. I mean,
you could never
no disrespect.
count on him to be there. You couldn't.
He's not stopping nobody.
You couldn't go into a season like thinking our defense is going to be, or the Cowboys' defense is going to be sweet.
Because you got Orlando Scandrick.
And including him. You can't include him with that because you know that he's not going to last a full season because he just hasn't.
Right.
But that kind of leads me into the Byron Jones moving back to cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me, and that brings up the question about him. Not only what do we do at safety now, but are we going to be picking up this 5th-year option on Byron Jones?
I think they should. I know it's a little expensive, maybe $8 or $9. $9. Hell, I know
that's cheap.
Woo, I know he ain't no $8 and $9. $8 and $9 million. Whew, if you get somebody for that, I would play all day. But I think we should because I feel like the Cowboys owe it to Byron Jones because they kept moving around. First you had him at corner, then you moved him to safety, then you dropped him down in the box a little bit, playing in the slot. So, and he is versatile, and he even said he's open to it. He's open to being versatile, playing corny. That's what he came in to be, a versatile guy. I feel like they owe it to him, and they shouldn't just get rid of him after that 4th year. I feel like they should pick up the 5th-year option. Hell, they did it with Blake Bortles, so if they did it with Blake Bortles, you definitely should do it when he didn't have no good year. So they definitely should pick up that option and see what Chris Richard can bring out of Byron Jones this year. I feel like he can bring more out of Byron Jones and use his versatility. He wasn't a terrible safety for us. He just wasn't a playmaking safety. He has range. He's not the biggest tackler, but he can play press coverage. So move him around and use his versatility. That's what I feel about it. Keep that 5th-year option and see what Richard can do with him.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see him back in some man coverage because I know that was
he was
his
so
strength.
good in man coverage.
So it was just a kind of mind-puzzling. You know how it is. We watch them do things, and we don't understand why they don't see it too.
Right.
That's kind of how it was with him. Like, don't you see he's just better in a man-to-man situation? We had a comment over here on Facebook live video that I wanted. Oh, Juan Madrid. He said, we need a safety. What about Kenny Vaccaro? I know there was some kind of interest there.
I'm going to be honest with the Kenny Vaccaro situation. I'm a University of Texas fan. He was a good player at Texas, but unless we're getting Vaccaro, I don't feel like it's going to be a guy that's going to change our defense. I feel like he'll be a good player in our defense, but he's not a game changer, and he's just going to be another okay player, good player, but he's not going to be a game changer. If we're going to be out there and selling all out and really trying to get to the Super Bowl, find out what's up with this Earl Thomas thing. Kenny Vaccaro, okay. We'll be good, but I don't feel like it's going to take us over the plateau. He's not the one piece that get us over the hump. But if you get an Earl Thomas, yeah, that tells me Dallas is serious, and he is somebody I feel like can get us over the hump. Kenny Vaccaro, not so much.
Yeah, if you can get Earl Thomas, then you really feel like you're getting a real vote of confidence. Like
now you're feeling like, okay, we're serious.
They want to try to get.
They're trying to win a
Super Bowl
championship.
now.
They're trying to win a championship. That's what it's going to tell me, Dallas Cowboys.
That's a game-changing piece you add right there.
And when you see, how many times have we seen before, G, when it's a mid-season or early in the season where the Philadelphia Eagles are a prime example. They went and got not just LeGarrette Blount, they went and got what's his name? I can't even remember the daggone running back's name from Miami, Jay Ajayi. They went and got a Jay Ajayi. They went out there and got Alshon Jeffrey on a one-year deal. They went out there and made moves because they weren't going to stand pat with what they had. They said that we are going to try to get to the Super Bowl. Now, we don't care if we have a young team. We don't care if Carson Wentz is in his second year. We want a Super Bowl now. And they went out to make the moves, and look what happened. They got a Super Bowl. You have to be bold in this NFL game. You have to be bold in anything you do. And if you don't come out and be bold in this game, you will be average and you will not win anything. And that's what we need to do. We need to be bold, be smart, but be bold. Well.
All right, so we have our guest on the line. We've got Ari Timken from ESPN San Antonio joining us. How's it going, Ari?
Gentlemen, what's going on?
What's going on, sir?
What's up, buddy?
How you doing? How you doing? Appreciate the friend request. You made me feel real special in my life. I seen it. I jumped up in the air. I actually told my girl, guess what? I said, all right, Timken just friend requested me. Man, oh, man.
Hey, Ari, so we wanted to ask you a couple questions about the Cowboys, obviously, because you're down there in San Antonio. I know you guys talk Cowboys. We wanted to get your thoughts on what do you think the Cowboys should do with Dez Bryant with his contract situation versus his production. How do you see that playing out?
Well, what do I think they should do and what I think they'll end up doing are probably two different things. I mean, I think ultimately there's probably only one guy on the Cowboys one guy associated with the Cowboys that wants to keep Dez, and that's Jerry Jones. So I think we'll know just how much power Jerry still has based on the decision they end up making. And look, I mean, there's no way they can pay him the amount of money that they're on the books to pay him. They have to pay Zach Martin. They have to pay DeMarcus Lawrence. I think they're going to end up paying David Irving. They just don't have enough money to pay Dez Bryant $16 million against the cap. So, they're going to ask him to take a pay cut, and it depends on how much of a pay cut they want him to take. I just think you can't have a guy in your locker room that's saying publicly he's going to tell younger players not to play through injuries. And I do wonder, too, how much can Dak take over from a leadership role standpoint if Dez Bryant is still there? Because Dez he's been there. He's the elder statesman in that locker room. So, with him in that locker room, how much can Dak be a leader? And so you almost wonder if you just get rid of him because he is a voice that means a lot for that locker room. So look, I think Dez has been a very productive player. He had three back-to-back 3 straight 1,000-yard receiving years. But I mean, if you were to project out the rest of his career, it seems like his best days are certainly behind him. So I certainly would cut him if he's unwilling to take a significant pay cut. And I bet the Cowboys are going to do that unless, of course, Jerry still has a lot of power. And in that case, if he does, you'd still see him on the Cowboys next season.
Great coverage there. That's exactly what I was going to ask you next, if you thought Dez Bryant was still any good. If you're just joining us, it's Ari Timken from ESPN San Antonio. Ari, I want to ask you one more question. What do you think the Cowboys should do there with the number 1 pick, or their first-round pick?
I really like Vita Vea. I know that Stephen Jones said he doesn't like him, but I'm just going to tell you who I like.
Not the players that he likes, the players that you like.
He's an interior defensive lineman from Washington. He reminds me a lot of Aaron Donald. That was a guy that everybody thought, there was all these problems with him, and he fell in the draft, and a lot of teams passed on him. And I just see a lot. Vea is just a beast in the middle, and I just don't care. You know, I'm the type of guy that says take the best available player, but that's not the way the Cowboys operate. The Cowboys draft on need and not based on best available. So, you know, but I'm always the guy that says take the best available player. So I wonder what their need is going to be. You know, I know a lot of people look at Cortland Sutton, you know, wide receiver from SMU. You know, Christian Kirk, wide receiver at A&M. But I mean, I would go best available, and to me, it'd be a guy like Vita Vea, or you know, just a beast on your defense, middle linebacker, guy that can get in there for Sean Lee, who you just can't count on to play 16 games. Although I think at that position you could probably fulfill that in free agency, but again, that's just not something the Cowboys have done recently. So you know, I wonder if the Cowboys will end up going wide receiver, especially based on what we said before, which is that they're probably going to cut Dez Bryant. So you know, if they do end up doing that, then they might look at Sutton or at Kirk at 19.
I like receiver too. Did you have a question for him, James?
Well, I didn't really want to have a question for you. All right, just kind of wanted to bounce off that Dez Bryant thing. I think me and G were talking about that as well, as far as with Dez Bryant not be saying that he won't take a pay cut. And just when you look at the philosophy, the biggest thing that stood out to me, what you said, it was about the Dak Prescott thing, because that's what I was saying to G and to myself, was that one of the main reasons why they may have to move away from Dez Bryant is because that alpha thing that's going on. I feel like Dak had to feel like he had to force it to him. And Dez is a guy that's going to be in your ear. Maybe we're not seeing it, but he is in your ear probably all game, and that gets tiring. I mean, if I'm an NFL quarterback or quarterback in general, I'm hearing this dude all the time running his mouth to me, it's going to get old. And I feel like if Dez Bryant moves out the picture, the control becomes to Dak Prescott, and that becomes his team now. As long as Dez is there, I feel like that's always going to be a little friction, and it's going to throw the team off, and we saw the effects of it this past season.
No, I totally agree, man. I mean, you just look. Dez has had, you know, Dez has been an absolute stud for them, you know, and he had those 3,000-yard seasons. But ultimately, for a guy like that in that locker room, I mean, you know, there becomes a point of diminishing returns based on the type of personality that he has. He's an alpha dog. I mean, you said it. He is an absolute alpha dog. So he's barking up and down the sideline, and that's good. You know, that's good at times. You know, I hate the perception of Dez. That's always bad. I think there's a lot of good that comes out of that, but there's a point of when that type of personality has diminishing returns on it. And, you know, I think it's reached that point, especially because, again, guys, I mean, he had 3 1,000-yard receiving seasons. Did anybody think he's going to get back to that at this point, based on what was it, 3 straight now without 1,000-yard receivings?
Right.
Plus, he's just got tons of excuses every year. It's like you look at a guy like Antonio Brown. You know, he's getting double teamed. He's getting double coverage. He's got injuries.
Right.
You know, there are great receivers in this game that deal with injuries, that deal with double teams, that deal with the attention, that don't make the excuses game after game after game for when they're coming up with production.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think especially when he says, "Hey, I'm gonna tell young guys in the future not to play through injuries." You just can't have that guy in your locker room, because you can't have it. I mean, 100% of the guys are going to deal with injuries. You know, whether or not that keeps them out of games is a different story. But they're all, by the time the season ends, dealing with injuries.
Mm-hmm. Nobody's really healthy in the NFL season. That's a lie if you think you are.
Yeah, I've heard Dez say a lot of questionable things. Ari, we appreciate your time. We really appreciate you taking a few minutes to join us and talk a little Cowboys football, and hopefully we can talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir.
I love what you guys are doing. Keep it up, and we'll talk soon.
All right, man.
Thanks,
appreciate
Ari.
you.
All right, that was Ari Temkin from ESPN San Antonio.
Yeah, he was telling some real stuff, especially with the
Good
Dez Bryant thing. Just like I said, you know, I brought it up at midseason last year, and I'm staying with it. I was never trying to push Dez Bryant off the team, and people were hating on me. But, you know, I was really just watching how the Dez Bryant and Dak Prescott relationship was forming, and it just seemed like it was a made relationship. Like with the Romo Dez, it was pure. I felt like that was a pure relationship. It was a connection. That's why they were so good together. I feel like that was forced with Dak and Dez, because everybody's like, oh, Dez is here now. Dak and they forced that relationship, and it was never there.
Another angle to kind of take on that also is Romo was like, you could say Dez looked up to Romo. Romo was older than him.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got Dez Bryant, who's the older guy. He probably thinks these young guys should come in looking up to him. And that's probably not what's going on with Dak. Dak's not looking up to Dez.
If you ain't never been a captain on the team your whole career, I'm not really looking up to you either. I'm just keeping it real.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying captain means everything, but for real, like Dez Bryant has been one of the elder statesmen on the team, and he's never been a captain. That rings volumes to me. It's just like you're a rah-rah guy. But, 1 minute you can't be up and next minute you be down as a captain, as a leader. You have to be consistent every single game as a leader. That's where you gain respect in the locker room. And when you're a person that's always like a ticking time bomb, people don't respect that, and people will not listen to you, and people will not follow you. And I feel like that's the reason now you see people backing away from Dez, because the antics are not matching the production now. And now you're not a dominant receiver. And it's true with every player in any sport. The end eventually is going to come. So this may be the end. And when people sit there and think, oh, he's going to go somewhere else and dominate. No, he's not. The only place that he will ever be good is a Green Bay Packers or maybe a New England Patriots if they bite for him. But he's still going to have to take a pay cut.
That will only be because of a great quarterback.
A great quarterback. But at the end of the day, he's still going to have to take a pay cut wherever he goes. So why don't you just take a pay cut with Dallas if they offer it to you, stay with the team or whatever. But I think, just like Ari was saying, that he just has to leave for Dak to be able to be good. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, and, something else I kind of wanted to get into there with Ari a little bit, but I didn't want to take up too much of his time, was what me and you had talked about too. Like, should we draft a guy a little bit higher, to get in there and give Dez a push to either make him better or push him out the way in general?
I don't really.
That's kind of why, and like Ari was kind of alluding to that too. Maybe we do take a receiver in the first round.
I'm not. If we take a receiver in the first round, I'm not agreeing with that, and I don't feel it. We need defense. We need defense. We need a D tackle, or we need a linebacker, and we need those guys. We got 15 or 16 receivers out there, or 7. We got the list right here. I got tons of receivers that I saw. I mean, you got DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, Michael Gallup, Calvin Ridley. We saw even Cam Phillips. There's Anthony Miller. There's tons of receivers. My God, DJ Chark. There's tons of receivers that you can get to make some plays in your team. And we don't need to have a dominant number one. It's shown when Dez was out the game and Dak was playing and Dez was out, he played good. We were able to spread the ball around to everybody. We don't need to have a number one. We just need to have a bunch of good, solid receivers. We can play if we're doing that Dak-friendly offense. You don't need a number one. So we don't need to jump out there and feel like we have to force and pay some guys some crazy kind of numbers, because receivers make money. You know what I mean? So let's get out there and solidify that defense and then get those receivers in the later rounds. We'll be better for it in the end.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and take this next phone call then. We've got our very special guest, Law Nation, on the line. What's up, Law?
Nothing to it, man. What's going on with you guys, man?
Hey, you the man, Law. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing fine like wine. What kind is the kindness on y'all mind? That's how I'm doing, baby.
Oh, I like to see you always coming with them good rhymes and flows, man. I'm just trying to be like you, Law Nation. Just let me grow up to be like you.
Desmond Bryant, man.
Yeah.
The impressions of what Tony Romo had to do with T.O. is kind of echoing through what Dak Prescott got to do with Dez Bryant. Dak Prescott was in the high school when Dez Bryant was playing professional football, so that counts a lot, So Dez Bryant, when I lost faith on Dez Bryant, and guess what, guys? I'm not hating on Dez Bryant.
Right. Everybody thinks you're hating on him because you're criticizing. You can criticize, Law. It's like if you're not doing your job, they're going to criticize you, Law. If I'm not doing my job wherever I'm at, they're going to criticize me, and I got to be able to take it. It's real.
It's real. No way in life we was up 9-0 against the Seattle Seahawks should Dez Bryant be cheerleading on the sideline. There's no way in life he should have been doing that, especially 7-8 year vet that he is.
I mean, I totally agree. And then the biggest thing that stands out to me about Dez, and I'm like I said, everybody thinks you're bashing him. No, I'm not. I'm just keeping it real how I feel. You don't like how I feel, that's okay. But at the end of the day, Dez Bryant, it's like, I mean, we have to understand, even in that Seattle game, you're going off, you're getting mad, you're getting frustrated, and then as soon as you come in and that goes right to you, You get the ball knocked out of your hand. Like, the dude didn't even try to tackle you. He went right to your left hand because they know you don't have any other hand. You can't carry the ball in your right hand. It's been known that you can only move the ball in your left hand. And if you're an elite receiver and everybody knows that you can only keep the ball in one hand, and a lot of people say you can only do 3 routes, how are everybody saying you're elite? You got away with it because you were just bigger and better than everybody for those first few years. That has faded, and now you don't have the dominant quarterback that's going to be able to do that with you. So, therefore, you're not bringing anything to the table for the Dallas Cowboys now. So now it may be time to go.
Gotta have time to grow. Yeah, man. Hey, I gotta run, but I just want to say this one thing right here. This team needs to go ahead and get their mind right on this draft. We cannot afford to drop the ball. 2018 speaks everything for what they're going to do with Dez Bryant. It speaks everything what they're going to do actually going forward with Jason Carey. I'm sorry.
Jason Carey.
But, hey, it's one of those things, guys. We really need to hit on all our picks this year.
Yes, we do.
Salute to you guys. Thank you guys for having me on to the show. I got to run. I got to go take care of the kids.
Hey, take care of them kids, man. You got some beautiful, beautiful kids. And Law Nation, you're the man. And we'll be talking soon, big dog.
Salute, bro. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Cool.
Hey, Law Nation, I love him.
All right, let's go ahead and get this Facebook Live comments and YouTube comments rolling
Let's
in
get
here.
it popping with this combine.
It's time to go ahead and start.
It's time to talk about combine.
We're going to talk combine. We're going to talk draft.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into the comments.
Yeah.
We had a couple guests. If you just let me talk right. If you're just joining us, this is Silver and Blue Nation, live streaming podcast on EBSN online, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the whole 9 yards, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google. Go subscribe. Get it all. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
So, yes, send the comments our way.
Well, let's just jump into it because defense was
draft.
today. Defense was today, so we can highlight a little bit of it. I didn't get to watch a lot of the defense because I'm gonna keep it real. I was tired as hell from that drive, and I didn't even drive the whole way. I was tired as hell from the drive. I came straight to the crib, G, and went to bed and didn't wake up till the next day. No, for real, and slept pretty much all day today. So
I stayed up late.
I got to see some of the highlights though, but these linebackers were looking crucial. What we say, 6 guys with 4 5s.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. These linebackers look like safeties now.
I mean, and then you had Shaq Griffin with a 4.38, Leon Jacobs with a 4.48, Lorenzo Carter 4.5, Roquan Smith 4.5, Malik Jefferson 4.5, Jerome Baker 4.5, and then my guy Tremaine Edmonds 4.5.
See, and you're all about defense, and it's deep on defense in my mind.
But you can, but we need defense first. To me, it's always about defense or the offense. I'm a defensive guy, so I'm always say that. Maybe you're an offensive guy and you like offense. I like defense. I'm always going defense.
I just feel like we need more help on offense than we do defense.
Yeah, I don't think so.
The offense struggled pretty bad,
but our defense ain't dominant.
It didn't struggle as bad as offense.
It was struggling. It got a little better because Sean Lee, because it wasn't great when Sean Lee was out.
You're right. We need somebody to be there for Sean Lee, but hopefully
linebacker.
Hopefully Jalen Smith can be even better now.
Well, you need more than Jalen Smith. Anthony Hitchens might be gone.
Hey, all you needed was Sean Lee last year. So
yeah, but we cannot rely on no Sean Lee anymore.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying, though. Hopefully one of these guys can step up.
Tremaine Edmonds, get him.
So we're getting all into the draft, and let me go ahead and give some shout-outs in the comments before we get further into it.
All right.
Cowtown Tex joining us on Facebook or YouTube Live. Appreciate that. Fred Woods has been in with us the whole time. Andrew Decal. Buddy Johnson says he wants DJ Chark. Watch for video later on to drop tonight.
My man.
Coach J's Film Day.
Coach J's Film Day. You named the name.
4th round pick.
Check him out.
So watch for that to.
I like them too.
Watch for that to come on tonight. Maybe we'll have that released on our Facebook Live page and the YouTube channel as well. So watch for that this evening, maybe tomorrow morning. Just sometime within the next 12 hours, we'll have that thing out there.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy Johnson says he feels like DJ Chark's like Antonio Brown. He was a 6th rounder. He'll be a 6th rounder. That's what he thinks.
Well, this is what I'm going to say about DJ Chark and what I like about him. He was inconsistent at LSU. He did have inconsistency. He is a senior, so he didn't dominate. But as I said before, if you look at a lot of LSU receivers when they come in, they're okay in college, but they come in the NFL and they dominant. They are dominant. They have really good careers in the NFL. Beckham, Landry, there's been plenty more. I wish I can get some more names because there have been plenty more LSU receivers. And when you look at this kid, he's 6'3", 200 pounds, 4'3", 40-inch vertical, 16 benches on the bench press with 225. And like I said, he can get better, and he's the guy that you can throw it deep. And he consistently ran that 4.3. We need somebody who's tall and can go deep. We haven't had a receiver under 4.5 in 20 years. It's time to break that trend. And even some guys that I did like, DJ Moore, he ran a 4.4, 6 foot, 210. Calvin Ridley, who we're probably not going to see, he was so silky smooth. Sutton looked like an Alshon Jeffrey for real for me. But there was Thomas, who you said who you like. What was his name?
I like Henderson from Pittsburgh.
So there's hellified receivers out there that we can scoop. We can scoop.
Before we dive off too far into the receivers, you were talking about the defense and the linebackers and how fast they were. So let's stay on that track a little bit. And you mentioned Shaq Griffin, and that's just amazing what he did. We seen him up close. I seen him bench press 20 times, 225 pounds with one hand. Now we were talking about that the night before too. We were wondering
how he's going to do it.
If he was going to be able to bench, and
they had a contraption.
They had some kind of device to attach on his arm, and he was able to do it. And he actually did more than Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah, he did one more. He had 20. Tremaine Edmonds had 19. But did you see his build? I mean, he's a big kid. Like, he's stocky. He's got chest sticks out. And I was watching some highlights of him again. And, man, watching him come off the edge. And JK, who we could bring up later, did send me a message and said, hey, move him to safety. And I'm liking that. Look, you can move him to a strong safety, and he could be even nastier. He could be a hybrid type guy. But that kid deserves a place in NFL. And just to think that he wasn't even invited initially to the Combine. He was a late invite. And look how he's done since he's come in.
A lot of these linebackers are looking like safeties with their builds. But, that kind of a guy like Shaq Griffin, he's going to be an underdog his whole life because of his disability. People are going to think that he can't overcome that, but he has.
He's got great traits. His brother is a dog already with Seattle, so the traits are good.
He could be something in the NFL.
I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him like no other. I want to see this kid come in here with one hand. And we thought about JPP when he blew his fingers off. And I mean, we thought.
Right.
I thought, well, how's he going to play now? I mean, that's going to be a big deal. And look at JPP. He's functional in the NFL, and he's still doing good. I mean, he's still I think he had 8 sacks this year. So he didn't fall off with that hand injury. But playing without one hand is a whole different monster. But I'm rooting for that kid, and I think he can do it.
And I'm proud to have been to this Combine and witnessed that with my own eyes. So that way, that's a history thing.
Hell
right?
yeah,
that's part of history.
We saw all those linebackers.
Good. Joshua Sold Out Williams, he's given that's his Facebook name over here on the Facebook Live video. Joshua Sold Out Williams, he's giving us an update on the LSU receivers. He said Ruben Randall, Brandon LaFell, to name a couple more guys.
Ruben Randall was deep.
Because you were talking about the receivers that had come out of there.
Ruben was deep.
Who else stood out to you from the linebacker position or defense in general? We didn't get to see Vita Vea lift.
We didn't get to see Vita Vea lift, and that's when I was frustrated because I heard they said he had 41 reps, and also another guy that I said I liked was Harrison Phillips from Stanford. He did 42 reps. Another guy that this was 40 runs, Deron Payne from Alabama. He ran 4.9 in the 40, and he's 311 pounds. Tavon Bryant from Florida, who's a guy who's creeping up in the draft, ran the 40 and 4.8. So I'm not really tripping. Vita Vea ran a 5.1 in the 40, which is still good for 350 freaking pounds. So at the end of the day, this draft is deep. It's going to be very interesting what we're going to do with this 19th pick. What are the Cowboys really going to do? I feel like we should trade it or either trade up, trade down and get multiple players. But if we're going to trade up, get that guy that you want. Derwin James said, hey, if the Cowboys want me, they're going to have to trade up and get me. We may have to trade up and get the player we want, but there's some guys out there that I feel that can game change our team, especially on defense. I think the receiving core is good, but there are no game changers on the receiving core.
Now, we're gonna stick to the combine subject in general in the draft, but we can kind of go in between, and get back to that. But we're talking about V2V a little bit. Stephen Jones says that there's no question we're not drafting a one-tech guy, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question at all about that. Is there a possibility that those are smoke screens being thrown out by him?
It could be. Smoke screens are always the thing to do now in any kind of league, but it seems to me that sometimes Stephen Jones is too honest. He doesn't always smoke screen. He kind of just tells it how it is and tells the truth right there. So I'm kind of worried that he really does still mean that they value the one tech if they have three technique traits. Vita Vea, I feel like has those traits, and I feel like you don't pass on a 6'4", 6'5", 350-pound dude. His arm, he one arm, he's throwing dudes out the way. 41 reps, he's a one-of-a-kind type player. And you don't sit there and say, oh, well, he's not we just don't value the one tech. I don't want to hear that crap. If you have him available and you can get him, you better snatch him and stop going away from what the board says or what the need says. That's the problem with us. We go with the need instead of going with, hey, this dude is a dynamic player. Just throw him in there and we'll figure it out.
Vondell Jackson and Eddie Ford Jr., we'll get to your comment in a second. We appreciate you commenting and tuning in. Vondell Jackson's on Facebook Live says, how many picks do we have in the draft? And to confirm,
we have 10 picks.
10 picks. A couple other people answered that for him in the comment section, but I just wanted to confirm with you. 10 picks in the draft. So was there anybody else from defense that stood out to you?
Well, Tremaine Edmonds, he was my guy. He's been my guy. He's the guy I want. I'm not moving away from him. He when you saw him at the combine, I was real excited. As soon as I got there, because I got a little bit late because you got there before me, so I had got in there late, and right when I got there, he was just about to bench, and I got excited. He's got a good height on him. He's a solid, I think it's 6'4", 250. A little bit lanky up top, not real wide, kind of a thin base, but an athlete no less. And he does like contact. He doesn't shy away from the contact in the game. And he ran a 4.55 in that 40. So that tells you his speed. He's a freaky type athlete, and I love Tremaine Edmonds, and I really want to get him. If we don't get a Vea in that draft, I want him, and I think he can be a game changer because you can mix and match Jalen Smith, Sean Lee, and a Tremaine Edmonds. But he's a guy that's going to change the game if you get him in that backfield, defensive backfield.
Fred Woods over here on our YouTube live comment section says, not only am I rooting for him, I want him with the 4th round compensatory pick if available. I'm thinking he might be talking about Shaq.
Yeah, he's talking about Shaq Griffin.
That's
not a bad.
Is he not projected to be picked, or is he
saying
just a 4th round pick?
Well, he wasn't even predicted. I don't think even get drafted because everybody was looking at that hand, and then he went in and turned up in that Senior Bowl, did his thing. Now he goes to the combine and he blows it up. So now people are like, okay, well maybe we have to go back and look at that tape again. Then they're seeing he had 8-9 sacks last year. Now they're saying, okay, maybe this kid can do something. So don't just look at the hand now. Look at the football player. And he could hit that 4th round pick. That's not a bad pick. You're not wasting a pick. That's not wasting a pick.
That would be nice for him if he can get picked that high. I'd be happy for him.
Yeah.
Ron Smith said Vita V has a hamstring injury. That's the latest with him.
Yeah, he has a hamstring injury, but I don't put any place on that. Those things happen.
Kung Fury's asking us about the Jerry Jones fine, which we talked about that a little bit. We'll hit on that again before
$2 million, I think.
We end the show here. Do we want to stick on the defensive side, or
let's jump a little bit at offense because I know
go back to the receiver.
Yeah,
got a lot of people talking about that.
Let's go back to those receivers because I know, like I said, you like some receivers. I got some guys here. There's so many of them.
First,
okay.
let me tell you why I like a receiver.
Okay.
And why I want a receiver early.
Tell me.
So I mean, I like some of these receivers, of course, but I want to draft a receiver early ultimately because, and I said this earlier, I want someone to come in and push Dez Bryant for time. And not only that, we've got Ryan Switzer, we got Noah Brown, 4th round and later. Anytime you get a guy in the 4th round or later, they're not getting paid very much, so there's no pressure at all to get them on the field. If you get a guy in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round, you got more pressure to get him out there because now he's making more money. So you're kind of forced to play him if you draft him that high. I mean, that's just how, in my mind, what I'm thinking if I was in that situation. if a guy's getting paid more, he's most likely to be on the field. And that's why I would think, I think some people might agree Ryan Switzer might be more talented than Cole Beasley. But Cole Beasley's going to see the field because he's making more money. So my point is I want to draft a receiver a little higher, not only just to get a good receiver, but to be forced to be put onto the field so we can see some kind of change. Because if we go into this year with Dez, Cole Beasley, and Terrence Williams once again being our top 3 wideouts, we're going to have the same exact results as last year. Nothing's going to change.
Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying about the 19th pick with the receiver, but and you said a comment I'm trying to it'll bring back to my brain, but I'm not going to agree with that. I don't think we don't need to go nowhere near. I think Vondell just asked if Calvin Ridley was there at 19, which he's not going to be there. Will we pick him? I don't want Calvin Ridley, even though he's dynamic. He's nice. I feel like we don't need to pay a receiver in the first round with that kind of first round money and automatically put him as the number 1 receiver. And now Dak Prescott started forcing the ball to this number 1 receiver because he's our number 1 guy. We just have to get him the ball. No. Go with defense, get a defensive tackle, get a linebacker, fill up that defense to where it helps Dak Prescott to win. If we get a 3-and-out, now the defense can come right back down and get the ball. And you can get some guys later in the round. We don't need a number 1 for Dak. We need multiple good receivers, and you can get those in the later rounds, and they can make a difference.
But they're not going to see the field.
They're going to see the field this year because Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan have pressure on them. Because if they don't see the field, because they've been mentioning, why didn't Ryan Switzer play? Why didn't this happen? Now it's going to be a dynamic offense. Everybody's eyes are on Jason Garrett and that offense this year. So they're going to have to play these players because everybody's talking about it. And we don't know if Dez Bryant is going to be there. So if Dez Bryant is not going to be there, you still can get receivers that can make a difference. I told you, my guy, you could get him in the 4th round. There's plenty of receivers that can make a difference. They don't have to be dominant. They can just be a bunch of good ones. We have a dominant line and a running game. You can get a good receivers across the board.
I don't think that there would be a guy that come in and demand the ball like a Dez Bryant because he's going to be young, and there are just no guys like that in this draft that are good enough to do that.
So if there's no guys in this draft like that, there's no dominant receivers like that, why are you drafting him number 1?
He doesn't have to be dominant. He just has to be good enough to play, and you draft him that high so that he gets on the field. That's my whole point.
I'm not doing that. I'm
saying 2nd or 3rd round, so you're forced to put him out there. Because with Ryan Switzer in the 4th round, he didn't have to be on the field because they weren't paying him nothing. Who cares? I think we wanted to see him on the field a lot more, but we didn't.
Hey, maybe.
But I don't know. I'm just talking.
No, you good.
I don't know.
I mean, hey, you want to go a receiver, I feel you, but I'm not doing that. I want to go that defense because I feel like defense wins championships, and that's what's going to save you late in games.
If the Vita V is there for sure in the 1st round, you got to pull the trigger.
You got to pull the trigger on him. Now, I think Terry Turner says, I hate to disagree with you, but I would go with Roquan Smith. I'm not – if – let's say Tremaine Edwards is taken, right? And then Roquan Smith happens to be there at 19th. Hell yeah, I'm taking Roquan Smith. You know what I mean? I'm not bashing Roquan Smith. I just like Tremaine Edmonds because guess what? I am a little more enamored with that size. If you have 2 guys that have the same type traits and one guy is 6'4", I'm going to go with that. I'm sorry. I'm going with a bigger guy, and that's just what I'm going to do.
And we're jumping all over the place here, folks. We're going offense, defense. Just stick with us. We're going through comments. We're trying to stick on topics. We do, we don't, whatever. Eddie Ford Jr., and this is going back to wide receiver, and I wanted to get back to his comment when we got back to this subject, since we're talking about receiver. He says, what about Sammy Watkins? I know that's been asked a lot, but
no,
he didn't hear it from us. So
no
to Sammy. That's it.
No. Why? What has Sammy Watkins done in the NFL? Nothing. He's hurt all the time. That's a waste. As soon as we sign Sammy Watkins, he's going to pull a freaking hamstring and he's going to be out 4 games. No.
Well, there you go, Eddie Ford Jr. That's a no.
Yeah, I mean, people are just enamored what he did with his speed. He ain't did nothing since he left Clemson. He ain't did nothing. So he's just a hype game now. Nobody's thinking about no Sammy Watkins.
Let me let's real quick, since Kung Fury was kind enough to tune in and leave that comment, let's just knock that one out.
Okay.
And you already read it. He said Big Jerry getting fined by Goodell or what's he just wants to know about, is there any news on Jerry Jones being fined by Roger Goodell?
Well, they're supposed to be having a hearing Monday or Tuesday, and we're going to basically see what happens with it. I mean, to me, honestly, this is my personal opinion about it. I don't care. I don't care about the Jerry Jones Goodell thing because to me it's just a big soap opera. I want to just go away and they just shut the hell up and leave it alone and leave the drama alone in Dallas because we need to concentrate on football, and I don't want to hear more Jerry Jones in the news.
Only thing I'll say is it gives us a little something to talk about.
Yeah.
I guess.
Same retarded thing we're talking about with Jerry Jones.
T. Allen says, are we going to be keeping Beasley?
I already told y'all about Beasley. I want to trade Beasley. I don't know if we're going to keep him. We need to trade Cole Beasley while we can. 29 years old. He doesn't cost a lot. Get something for him. If you're talking about making moves and making a difference, see what else is out there and make a move. You can move Ryan Switzer in there. We don't need 2'5", 9', 5'10" guys in the slot. We need another couple, maybe a tall or medium-sized receiver, and throw Switzer out there. You don't need Cole Beasley anymore, man, and it's no disrespect, man. This is about getting better and using your capital for what it's worth. And Beasley has some worth right now. Use it before you keep him until he's 31 years old. Then you can't trade him, and nobody wants him, and then you're just sitting there thinking, oh, you're cut. Well, you just wasted it. Get something for him.
Staying on the receivers, Justin Hill says, can we get a T.O. receiver again, please? The only thing I'll say to that is we didn't win anything.
We ain't won nothing in a long time.
We didn't win anything with having T.O., so if you want to have a T.O. like receiver again just to be wowed, just so you can watch a cool receiver, I mean, that's kind of what you had in Des Bryant. But
I'm going to be very honest.
I don't think that's going to win. It didn't win, so.
I'm going to be very honest now. I used to be enamored with the number one receiver. I was enamored with getting that number one.
That's not how I am.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying I am. That's the way I was for a little bit because I was enamored with getting that one number receiver. He can change the game. But now you watch the NFL, you don't need a number one receiver to win in this game. You just need some good quality wideouts. But you can win with that. You don't need that dominant number one. You have Julio Jones. Would they win?
Fred Woods on YouTube says Dez won't ride the pine. Any rookie wide receiver that flashes, they will bench T. Will.
They need to bench T. Will or find something that, I mean, I'm not saying trade the whole roster. I'm not saying that, but look out there and see what's out there. And if anybody is biting and you can get a deal for some of these guys, pull the trigger. That's all I'm saying. Don't be content and say we're content with what we have. We're content with the guys we have. We like the guys we have, and we're going to keep building through the draft. Well, you're building through the draft, and that's another crop of rookies, meaning they've never seen the NFL. So you're going to put all your weight in rookies and think they're going to take you to a Super Bowl. It doesn't happen like that. You got to have a mix of your team, your veterans. You bring some guys that are some game changers outside your organization, and then you draft good. That's how you win the Super Bowl. And y'all should know this because y'all make a lot more money than me. So how come I know this and y'all don't?
Pull the trigger. Getting back to the NFL Combine stuff, Daniel Meza asked about Will Hernandez.
I love Will Hernandez, but now
in what round?
I had him as a second-round pick, but we pick at 50. He's not going to last that long. His combine was good, 37 reps. He had a good combine as far as his drills. So they're saying that he could probably be in that first round. I think he's going to do it, so I don't see us. Now, they're talking about they may trade down and try to scoop him, but if we trade down and scoop him, we better get some kind of defensive player to back that up. Don't just sit there and go with that guard and not get something else. We better – I'm going to just tell you like this. And if Stephen Jones is really taking over like he looks like he is, we better hit on this draft. We better hit on this draft because this draft is crucial. Kind of like when we fell off with the 2015 and we need to have a good 2016 draft to bring us right back because we had good players. We need to have a good 2018 draft or it's going to be bad for us.
We had a pretty good 17 draft, I think.
Yeah, it was good.
Outside of Taco, a first-round defensive pick.
That wasn't really more his fault, though, because what are we talking about? The rotation.
Well,
play your rookie.
But it's still on us for not drafting the right way. So I don't want to draft a guy, another defensive guy who doesn't get in there and ends up being like Taco again. I want a guy like you said that makes an impact like a Zeke or a
right away.
Dak right away.
Like,
yeah.
when he comes in right away, he's starting and he's going to come in and make a difference on your team. Yep. And I get what you're saying about Taco. I think Taco's going to be good, but he wasn't a game changer. He wasn't
right away. No.
But he was also picked at 28th, and it's hard to pick a game changer at that pick, though, sometimes.
We're kind of in a similar spot, like late first round. Eddie Ford asked, did we see any sleeper running backs?
Yeah, I saw the kid that I really liked that I think one of my guys, his name is I'm sorry, Kevin, I forget your name. Rashard Penny is a guy that I liked as a sleeper running back, had a really good career. Where is he at, Rashard? I'm sorry, I picked the paper up. But Rashard Penny, check him out. There was some other running backs, but I wasn't really keen on them.
That's probably like our least priority. The last thing we'll be picking.
Kalen Ballage from
Most
Arizona
likely.
State was another guy that was good. That stood out to me. San Diego State was Rashard Penny. That's where he came from. Demario Richard was okay, but I feel like we need more of a shifty type guy on the team, not a big back. We need a shifty guy that you can hit out in the backfield because we need to utilize the screen game. We don't use it with Zeke, and whenever we do use it, we see results of long touchdowns. We need to utilize these guys out of the backfield and be able to dump off passes to him so we can get those quick 7, 8, 9 yards. And if you can get that quick back that can do that, maybe going a set with Zeke, it'll help out the team.
I didn't really see any sleeper running backs. I mean, I did like Sony Michel.
But they'll be gone.
He ran a little bit of a slower 40 time, but
he's going to be nice.
There's a guy, though, a wide
Chubb.
receiver, who I think could be a running back.
Who's that?
And that, my friend, is Quadri Henderson from Pittsburgh.
Yes, Quadri. He was
If
big,
you go
bulky.
watch his highlights, he does a lot of sweeps out of the backfield stuff, like what we kind of did with Ryan Switzer, but we didn't use him nearly enough. But this guy looks like when I saw him out there running drills, he reminded me of a Steve Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's
angry.
He's long for a small guy, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like he has long legs, long arms for a smaller guy, and like you said, he's like bulkier and I really think that he could be one of those multi-purpose running back / wide receiver guys. So that's someone I could see as an option for us in the mid rounds as well.
Yeah, Zachary Ryan said Naaman Hines. He had that fast run. Naaman Hines, remember him?
Yeah.
He had the 4.39, I believe.
You know, another guy that the Cowboys' name has been attached to is James Washington, the receiver from Oklahoma State.
And was you reading my mind? Because I was just about to bring him up.
You know, he looks like a running back.
I watched
some
Washington.
of his film.
No.
He looks just like he even wore number 28.
Yes.
Before I even knew he wore number 28, I thought he looked like a running back. So
I don't
he really
want James
does look
Washington.
like a running back.
He looks like he has no neck. He looks just
Exactly.
He's fast, but he just built wrong. He don't, like you said, he's built like a running back. He's not built like a receiver. And do not, Cowboys, if you draft him in the first round, 19th pick, I'm gonna slap the hell out of Stephen Jones. Please don't hear me say that. Stephen Jones, because I do like you. If you ever want to employ me, so let's delete that part of the tape. You can always edit that part. But no, don't get James Washington. He looks weird, and I'm not disrespecting, but he just don't look like a receiver, man. He just does not look like a receiver. Stay away from him. Christian Kirk, we were talking about him. Christian Kirk looked good.
Actually,
Calvin.
I was just gonna say let's keep Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley. Let's talk about those guys in a second because I wanted to get back to DJ Chark because I know that's your guy, and there's a lot of people that's been asking about him.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Hill in our Facebook live comments, he says, could Chark be a T.O.-like receiver? What are your thoughts on Chark? So
No.
I know you like him later.
I don't think he's a T.O.-like type receiver. Let me think of somebody. I have to think of somebody like.
And I'm glad we're talking about receivers because there's a couple.
I don't know if he's good at Allen Robinson, but I got to find somebody who's kind of long with it, and that's just a deep threat. We need somebody who can just go get it right now. And he doesn't have to have the pressure of being that number one receiver, but you can bring him in like how we're losing Bryce Butler. You know how we love Bryce Butler with the deep ball and how he –
I didn't like how we used him, though. I didn't think he was on the field enough.
You're right, but that's one of the reasons why it was probably because of Dez Bryant, but we don't know if Dez Bryant is really going to be on the team. I don't think he's a T.O. type receiver, but I feel like if he can get on our team, man, Dak Prescott can throw that deep ball to him, and it'll open the offense because he's got some wheels, man. I think I like him.
Buddy Johnson says on our YouTube live comment section, he says he wants DJ Chark too.
Yeah.
So we're sticking with the receivers, and this is a group that I really paid the most attention to because that's what I feel like. You know, that's what I want. I want a receiver. I'm an offensive guy. I mean, we talked about it. I like offense.
It finally came out. You know, I had to pull it out. You waited.
I want a receiver. I've been saying I want a receiver, though, early on because, like you said, we don't get guys who run sub 4.5s or 4.4s or whatever. We don't get guys who will challenge other receivers. So I think it's time to draft a guy higher. The last time we drafted a guy high was Terrence Williams in the 3rd round.
Ugh.
And I just don't think he lived up to a 3rd-round pick. He looks more like a 5th-round pick or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. I don't even know. He's like a number 3 in my mind, Terrence Williams.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. But Andrew D. Call over here on the YouTube comments, he says, DJ Moore, and this is a guy that's been linked to the Cowboys too, like James Washington. He says, DJ Moore is really starting to grow on me.
He's good.
I know he won't be there at 50. I'm starting to look at him in the 1st round. I know you said no to that, but do you think he could fall to 50 maybe?
It depends. I think he's going to go higher than 50 now. He's brought his stock up, and I think the biggest thing was his initial measurement, I think, was like 5'10", but now he came in at 6 foot, 210 pounds, sub 4'4", and he was ridiculous at barreling. I mean, he played against my Texas team and just obliterated us, made us look stupid. And the kid is strong, good after the catch. I think he's going to be a very good NFL player in my eyes. I don't think he stays at 50. Somebody's going to pick him up. He's just too good.
Buddy Johnson says he thinks, going back to DJ Chark, because he really liked him, he said he thinks DJ Chark could challenge Dez for his spot as a starter.
I think he could. I'm not saying he's not a number 1. I just don't want to draft somebody that high with the pressure of being a number 1.
Right.
He definitely has very good traits. The only problem with him is, like I said, he was a little bit inconsistent at LSU at his whole career, but they had inconsistent quarterback play as well. And as I said before, you see a lot of LSU receivers who are okay in college. You see how good they could be, and then when they get to the NFL, they explode. He could be one of those type of players. And he's a guy that if you watch something later on, you're going to see. Once I watched some film on him, I got excited. But then when we actually went to the combine, and I kept on tapping G, like, there you go, DJ Chark, watch him, G. I kept on touching him, and everything. And did he drop a pass the whole time? No.
He was sharp.
He was sharp. He did not drop one ball the whole time. He looked sharp in his drills. Go after DJ Chark, Dallas Cowboys.
And over here in the YouTube video, Andrew D. Call comments, that boy St. Brown from Notre Dame is really impressive to me.
Yes, he is. That's your guy, G.
On me. Damn good football player right there.
That's your guy.
I'm with you. To me, he's like, he kind of reminds me of Terrence Williams a little bit in the way that he runs his routes, but he's way bigger. Like, he's more beefy and muscular.
Bigger.
And he has hands. That's the most important part. He catches with his hands.
I think he almost
Watch some of his film.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see a lot of hand catches from him and in traffic. And I like that. And I like a big guy. He's really good at going up, getting them back shoulder type fades. And I don't know, a lot of stuff that I was watching from him and seeing Deshaun Kaiser throw it to him, like, hey, look, I could see Dak throwing that ball exactly like that to him.
Mm-hmm.
So
I cannot lie that you kept on talking about him.
I am high on him.
You kept talking about him. You know, it started with the bench press because he stood out. Him and Jaleel Scott, and Sutton was a nice size too, but Jaleel was real big.
Yep.
But your boy, he stood out. Like
he was bigger than that.
He was bigger than that.
He was the biggest guy
cocky.
there.
He was cocky, strong.
So when they did the bench presses, we were kind of standing around them, and they all just came out in a group and did all the bench presses as a group. So you've seen them all together standing side by side.
He stood out instantly.
Yeah, he was huge. Ron Smith asked, what about Gallup? What do you think about him? I know that's your number one.
That's my number one guy, Michael Gallup. He was everything I thought he was. Don't you think, G? He was very impressive. Very good in out of his breaks in the drills. Caught everything. I think he dropped one pass, but I think it was more of a bad pass by the quarterback than his drop. He timed what I thought he was. He timed what I thought he was going to time, 4.51, which is not bad. But he's a great route runner, strong hands, good strength, good size, and I think he's going to be a very good receiver as well in the NFL. Has to get on the right team. I think he has to get on the right team, but I think he also can make a difference as far as yards after catch with the Dallas Cowboys. But I think he will be gone. But I'm kind of steering away from him because I kind of want some more explosion. I want more explosion. So Gallup is one of those guys who's like an Anquan Bolden type, maybe to me, where he's just going to get you yards. But you're not going to get him on a deep bomb. Whereas DJ Chark, that's a guy where you can see Dak scrambling, just heave that bad boy, and boom, that's a 60, 70-yard touchdown.
Everybody agrees with you about defense being the number one need. Terry Turner says he hates to disagree, and this is something we spoke about earlier. First, before we get to Terry Turner's Facebook Live comment, if you're just joining us, this is the Silver and Blue Nation live podcast streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and you can also listen back to us on those platforms and also SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play. And if you missed anything from the first hour, check us out there. And we had a guest today, Ari Timken from ESPN San Antonio. He gave us his thoughts on the Dez Bryant situation and what we might do here with our first-round pick, with the Dallas Cowboys first-round pick. So, and also Law Nation joined us. So if you missed any of that, make sure you go back and check out the podcast when we're done here, or you can always just rewatch the video.
Yeah, make sure you check out that podcast, man. We got SoundCloud, iTunes, and then you also said Google. Make sure you get on that because you can't always watch Facebook if you're at work or wherever you're at. Make sure you, and the podcasts are crisp and clear, and it's some good stuff. You like talking Cowboys football. You ain't always got to listen to Brian Bross and them, and I did meet him. I met Brian. He's a cool dude.
Yep.
And also Dave Hellman and Rob Phillips. All of them are really cool guys, but you ain't always got to listen to them. Come on there and put that Silver and Blue Nation Big Game James producer G on in there.
And what's really great about it is everybody has either a Droid or an Apple, so you have no excuse. It's all on your phone.
You ain't got no daggone excuse.
If you have a cell phone, you have access
and you got a
to
cell phone.
Silver and Blue Nation podcast.
Don't tell me you ain't got a cell phone.
You can watch it or listen, and whatever you want to do, you can plug it into your car and your speaker.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no reason or excuses to not have Silver and Blue Nation in the palm of your hands 24/7.
The only way you don't have a cell phone is like you a grandparent or grandpa. Like they don't have them, but
Some
guess what?
don't.
My grandparents are like 80 and they got them, even though they are the flippers, even though they are the basics.
I was
going to
say,
they the basics. They the flippers.
Some people got the old school cell
they
phones,
still the flippers.
flip phones.
They got like four numbers in there.
I wonder if anybody still has a chirp.
They need to bring that back. Bring the chirp back. You know what? Bring the pager back.
Oh,
bring the pager back.
Oh, no.
Hell yeah. Bring that pager back. I have that bad boy in the hip be stunting like I don't know what.
Just
like,
text you like, hey. I don't have to call that. This is direct. Back to the Facebook Live comment from Terry Turner. He says he hates to disagree with you, James, but I love Roquan Smith. I'm from Georgia, and I've seen him knocking heads in the SEC, not ACC, real football.
Yeah, he's a beast. I can't disagree and say he's not a beast. But, hey, to each his own. You want Roquan, I want Tremaine. But if Roquan is there after they took Tremaine, I'm taking Roquan. If they take Smith and Tremaine's there, I'm taking them. The whole fact of the matter is we need a game-changing linebacker, and I think both of those fit that mold.
Terry Turner also asking about Derwin James. He says, what are some scenarios to move up and get Derwin James?
Ooh, I think you're trying to get a Derwin James. I don't know if the Dallas Cowboys are on him like that, but I feel like you'd have to get out some picks. I'm not going to sit there in front. I would have to sit down and look at the picks and what other people have out there before I would say a pick to go after him. But I think we'd have to give up a little, maybe a compensatory pick or something like that to get a Derwin James. But me, I don't know if Derwin James is nasty. Derwin James is nasty. But is he going to come in with that attitude and take control of that secondary like his first rookie year? Is he that guy? That's the only thing I'm worried about. Is he that guy to come in and take over our secondary and make it elite? Because that's what we need in our secondary. We don't need another guy who's just going to come in and be good in that secondary. We need an elite person that will take over that secondary, command it, and run it strong. If we're just going to get somebody who's just good, then steer away from that.
Eddie Ford Jr. says, would you be all right trading the 19th pick for Earl Thomas?
Hell yeah.
Straight up. Just here's our first round pick. Here's Earl Thomas.
You can take our fourth compensatory pick too.
Do we have room on the cap to make that happen?
I don't know. I don't know if they have to get rid of a player or two. They're talking about signing DeMarcus Lawrence to the franchise tag. I don't know how much that eats up. I'd have to look at the numbers, but if the numbers worked out as far as giving away picks for Earl Thomas, yes, Dallas Cowboys overvalue those picks. And you see these other teams give away maybe a next year pick. It ain't killing us if you give it like a second rounder away next year. That ain't killing us, man. If you can get a guy, and you got to get Earl Thomas, if you're going to make a deal like that, get him now because he's 28. So he's going to be declining soon. So you sign him to a 3 or 4 year deal that's, maybe kind of friendly, and see how that works. But you don't want to get him, let's wait another year, and that's another year of injury or anything, because guess what? Earl Thomas has been an injury of late at the last couple of years, so that stands out in my mind as well.
Jawan James says he missed a lot of the combine dealing with the job function in Tampa. Who impressed you the most, and who would you like Dallas to draft?
Well, as far as what I've seen when we went to the combine, what impressed me most was I didn't get to see those guys train as far as being on the field with the linebackers, but pretty much the whole linebacking core impressed me. But I'm still impressed with my guy, Tremaine Edmonds. That's the guy I want. And that's the guys to prelude into who we pick at the 19th pick. Tremaine Edmonds is the guy. I'm sticking with him. I've been on him from day one, as far as not day one, but once I saw some more film on him, I just really started really liking him, and I just like the way he attacks the ball. He's not afraid of contact. He did pretty good in his hips with his drills, and 4.5 speed. You can't teach that, and he's also only 19 years old. 6'4", 250-pound, 19-year-old linebacker who is definitely wrecking shop in the ACC. A lot of tackles for loss. That's got to get you excited to where he can be, and he's versatile. You don't have to put him in just at one spot. You can put him at the Sam. You can put him at the Mike. So I'm liking Tremaine Edmonds, and he's my guy that I've really want the Cowboys to go get.
Okay. So let's talk then a little bit.
Zachariah told me stay away from the lettuce.
Oh, damn.
The trees.
He's saying you smoking something, saying a first rounder for Earl. He said maybe a second.
Man.
He said we don't have the cash, and he only has 1 year left on his deal.
Man, if we giving away a 19th pick for Earl Thomas, why not? That 19th pick for Earl Thomas, please. I'm doing
for
that.
For 1 year?
I'm just saying.
Is it worth it, though, if you only get him 1 year?
I think he's not going to stay 1 year. I think he would stay in Dallas long term. He's from Texas.
He said he wanted to be
Who the hell goes to another opponent's locker room and say, come get me if I'm available? And then he says it more than once. He says it to his teammates. They ask him, and he says, yes, I like the Dallas Cowboys. I'm from Texas. Then they ask him again why he's at the Pro Bowl, and he says, yes, I like the Dallas Cowboys. So why in the hell is he going to stay one damn year?
Well,
he's from Texas.
If they offered him an insulting deal, he might be like,
Well, I'm not saying if they don't offer him an insulting deal, he's going to stay in Texas. He's a Texas boy. I'm a Texas boy. One thing about Texas people, they're loyal to Texas.
So I saw that you also posted something earlier throughout the week that showed the Cowboys spend the least amount of money out of any team.
Hell yeah, it was like we had out of 32 teams, we spent the least.
And that is because of previous bad contracts, right?
The Brandon Carr effect, I put it out there.
More than that, though, right? Like restructuring all these guys, like we were talking about.
That's what the problem. What we do, the problem with the Dallas Cowboys is, as soon as we sign an elite player, we're already in our head. What Dallas Cowboys already in their head to restructure. So you sign a Travis Frederick, we're restructuring him in 2 years. You sign a Tyron Smith, we're restructuring him. Zach Martin, if you sign him, they're going to restructure. That's what kills us because it puts that money on the back end. Yeah, it drops the salary for that year, and we can sign somebody. But then when we're trying to get people that we really want, we can't because those players are cut or hurt. They're not on our team anymore. And next thing you know, you got 10, 11, 12, $13 million sitting in dead money because you kept on putting that on the back end. They need to just trust what they do. If the guys aren't good, just cut them the way they are and stop restructuring those deals. Sign these guys with the thought of, guess what? You try to play this contract out, and we'll see what we're looking at like then. Don't sit there and already say we got an elite player and we're going to restructure him in 2 years. It's going to kill us down the line, and that's why we can't ever sign nobody.
Michael Bennett was on the trade block. Any interest there from the Seattle Seahawks?
Hell no.
Why?
Because he's a problem. He's just a headache. I mean, nobody wants to deal with his mouth. He's going to he has the production, but he's going to come to Dallas and just be talking about Dak Prescott or talking about Ezekiel Elliott or talking about something. I do not want no Michael Bennett on the team. Stay the hell away from Dallas. Go have controversy somewhere else because nobody wants to hear that. Dude, you get in trouble by fighting with the police. I'm not saying nothing right. Let me not say something about that. But you know what I mean. We don't need the problems.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Zeke because he was in the news as well, and the news came out that there will be no special Zeke rules, and I air quoted Zeke rules like we used to have, or like the Cowboys used to have for Dez Bryant. Do you agree with that?
Yes, there shouldn't be. You're a grown-ass man. You're over 21 years old. You know what to do. Now do it. You once you get 18, you really should know what to do. You're still learning things. You're still young in the brain. But now you're over 21. You need to be responsible. You had the incident that happened. That should already tell you you got to be smart. And shouldn't nobody have to be protection around you or babying you to make sure you're in at night? No, you're grown. You get paid money. You're in a profession. Be a professional. Do the right thing.
Good take. Because, with Dez in that situation, but their situations
Dez was
are
immature.
Different. Their situations are a lot different.
And plus, I think I'm going to just be honest with you on this tip. I think Ezekiel Elliott is just a more self-awareness. Remember how you always bring that word to me?
Educated, too, is another word you use.
Educated. And I feel like Des Bryant didn't have the self-awareness, and you had to put people around him or he would crumble and fall. I feel like Zeke is
Two different backgrounds.
Yeah, family background, is a lot. Family background has everything to do, and you know that. And those are two big contrasting things.
Yeah, I mean, you had Des Bryant with no dad or no dad like really in his life like that, and his mom, always had problems with her or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Zeke, though, on the other hand, married parents, successful former athlete. So 2 different backgrounds, 2 different situations. I don't see Zeke being on the level that Des was, and Des did need that type of help. If you remember him getting in trouble over having his pants sagging, things like that in the mall. You remember that?
Yep, slapping his mom with the hat.
Yeah, so totally different situations there. But I just thought it was interesting that someone thought that maybe Zeke would need to have special rules on him to keep him in line.
Right.
But nope, that's going to be on him.
T. Allen, well, we almost up out of here, ain't we?
Yeah, we're getting ready to take off right now. Just one final thing, actually, I was going to get to here on my topic list before we wrap this thing up.
All right.
Because this has just been in the news. The Jets released Muhammad Wilkerson. Any interest there?
I like Muhammad Wilkerson.
He's a free agent now, so he's wide open. You think he's going to demand big money?
Yeah, I think he is going to demand big money. I don't think he's going to get that big money out there because once they cut you and you were making that big money, a lot of guys look at you and you're older. They're not just going to shell that kind of money out to you. Maybe some teams are dumb like that, but to me, it's just one of those things where he's out there, but we ain't going to get him. We're not going to probably bother with them, so I'm not even going to get excited to even talk about Muhammad Wilkerson because I know Dallas ain't even going to touch him.
But it's always good. Anytime a player gets cut, for everybody, the first thought is he going to the Cowboys?
Right.
That's the first thought. Right. It's always been like that.
Right.
Juan says hood, talking about Dez. That's the only word for him, hood.
True, yeah. You love him, but he hood.
That's going to wrap up this week's edition of Silver and Blue Nation on the live podcast on EBSN Online.
Right.
We streamed it on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
Yes.
And if you missed anything from the show, you can go back and listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, or simply rewatch the video. I'd like to thank the guest that we had on the phone today, Ari Timken from ESPN San Antonio and Law Nation, another great Cowboys insider that we all know. And we appreciate all the guests and everybody who commented and watched with us tonight. Any final thoughts?
No, just Cowboys do the right thing, make the right choice. Get aggressive out here in this free agency. You don't got to break the bank. Just be smart and let's make some moves because if we stand pat and if we just keep what we have and just worry about the draft, it's going to be the same thing this year. And I don't care what anybody tell me. That's just what it's going to be. We need to get aggressive and make moves to get over this hump because if not, we're going to say the same daggone way. And I'm pissed about that.
One final thing. I know people wanted to know about JK. A couple people asked about him.
Yeah.
It's a permanent move. JK no longer going to be on the show with us. He's still in the background here, but he's not going to be on the show any longer because he's got other things to focus on in his life.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to him for whatever that he feels like he needs to focus on. Mm-hmm. So we appreciate the time that he put in with us.
Yes, sir.
And but yes, that's a permanent move. JK will no longer be with us going forward. For those of you who want to know, I know Ron wanted to know. So that's it then. Until next week, that's Big Game James.
And that's Producer G.
And we're out.
Peace.